What is up, guys? Today we are going to take a look at, we'll take a very quick look at a very interesting deck I didn't create. I guess a lot of people may be trying this deck out online. Not really sure. It is, before we check it out, let's just take a look at the deck. It's a Act 2 or green, white, black junk act. It's basically like a mid aggro deck. You remember when Dragon's Maze, or not Dragon's Maze, Gatecrash came out, they had the red, white, black aristocrat deck, right? And it revolved around Cartel Aristocrat, Grave Crawler, zombies and stuff, and then Boros Reckoner into Blasphemous Act. It really had a lot of reach. It really knew how to get there at the end of the game and had a lot of protection, and the creatures were very resilient. So what we're doing is a junk version, green, white, black. Very similar, but instead of revolving around Blasphemous Act and Boros Reckoner to just kind of just blow games up, we go with Varolz the Scar Striped, and we use him to scavenge our other creatures, because all of our threats are really resilient, and in the event that they do die, then we use Varolz to kind of bring them back. So we're going to go look at the deck really quickly. It's a very simple list, nothing too complicated here. For the 1-drops, we only have Experiment 1. I'm not sure if that's the right play. There's a possibility that we should probably have 8 1-drops. I would say Experiment 1 and then the Dryad Militant. Like 4 Dryad Militants, I think that would be pretty exceptional for us. But whatever, Experiment 1's a good card, especially in this deck. For the 2-drops, we got 2 Celestian Charm. Helps with Siren Insanity, helps get Trample because your guys are going to have a lot of counters on them. They're going to get pretty big. Get that extra oomph of your damage in. 3 Abrupt Decays, which is standard, really helps in most matchups. Get rid of Rest in Peace, get rid of like problematic cards, get rid of aggro, early aggressive starts. We have 3 Cartel Aristocrats, and he's a very crazy. Sack a creature. He's a sack outlet for just like Varolz, he's a sack outlet. Gets protection. He's a perfect candidate for putting scavenge counters on because you can make him really big, protect him from a lot of stuff. He's a good finisher. Okay, uncommon, so simple to build. 4 Lotlet Trolls, which is a very resilient threat. You can also discard, late in the game when you top deck something like Experiment 1 or whatever. It's probably better to just discard him and pump up your Lotlet Troll, and then scavenge the 1 damage onto a Cartel Aristocrat to protect them. Various lines of plays here. Or you could just play the Experiment 1, then sack it to Cartel. Just whatever. There's a lot of shit you can do, right? 3 Treacherous Pit Dweller. Now this is a really weird card. This is probably better as Voice of Resurgence, I would assume, but I don't have access to Voice of Resurgence, and I actually like Treacherous Pit Dweller. What's nice about this guy is 2 for a 4/3. He will probably never be your turn 2 play or your turn 3 play. He will probably always be your turn 4 or later play, because you definitely want to have at least either a Varolz or the Cartel Aristocrat on the board to protect him. And what I mean by that is because when he dies, his Undying triggers, and then when he comes into play again, your opponent gains control of him. That sucks. A 5/4 that your opponent didn't have to cast, that's a problem. But if you have a sack outlet, you can put the second part of the ability on a stack, the target opponent gaining control of it, because it'll still, when Undying triggers, it still hits your side of the battlefield first, and then it goes to your opponent. So when it hits your side of the battlefield, you can just sack him to Varolz, sack him to Cartel, and you don't have to worry about the negative effect of being a 4/3 for 2 mana. And that's awesome. And the other thing that's great about this is that if you want to scavenge him, you scavenge him for 2 and you add +4 counters. That's like adding a Vexing Devil, slightly more expensive. So that's the 2-drops. Let's go to the 3-drops. We got Loxodon Smiter, which is always solid against aggro. pretty good again. You know, can't be counted against control. You know, he's got a place. He's a good little beater, right? Little elephant guy. It's always cool to play some elephants. We got 3 Varolz, the Scar Stripe, and this is the card that really helps the deck just go over the top. Scavenging. You know, you can. He's a sack outlet, so you can regenerate him. You can scavenge. You know, gives your creatures in the graveyard scavenge. You know, like I said, Treacherous Pit Thrower is a perfect example. Varolz probably works better with red. You want to scavenge things like Vexing Devil, Spike Jester, Desecration Demon, even though it's black, right? I mean, those are kind of things you want to scavenge. But, you know, white doesn't give us the greatest scavenge outlets, but it gives us the better resilient threats, I think. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool, right? That's a 3 drops. We got 3 Putrefies here. For 4 drops, we got 1 Rot Farm Skeleton. This is great against control. Can't be countered if it's played from the graveyard. It's just an ability, you know, helps put other creatures in the graveyard that you can scavenge. It's pretty solid all around. For Advent of the Worm, it's just a good higher end threat. I actually don't think that this belongs in here. I think we're better off with an actual creature in the graveyard. Whether it be Blood Artist, Resto Angels, or something. But, you know, I've seen lists online with this, so it's worth testing, right? Let's you know, I guess it's pretty good somewhere, right? So we'll see. And the top of our curve, we got 2 Obzidok Ghost Council, which is a great finisher, and then 1 Dead Bridge Chant to kind of give us that late game power and recursion. Yeah, that's basically it for the list. Like I said, Treacherous Pit Dweller could be better as Voice of Resurgence. You know, or it's even possible that we get rid of these 4 Advent of the Worms and make them Dryad Militants, because Dryad Militant is a solid scavenge target as well. You know, maybe make those 4 Dryad Militants, make this Voice of Resurgence, and just be a little faster as a deck. Sideboard, we got 2 Blood Barons for respective matchups, 2 Sin Collectors for control, you know, maybe even for mid-range. 3 Cremates for Reanimator, Snapcasters, 2 Golgari Charms, which help against enchantments like Assemble of the Legion, Heartless Summoning. Also helps against Supreme Verdict to regenerate all your creatures. Also helps against aggressive decks like Naya that play a lot of 1/1s or 1 toughness creatures. 2 Gaze of Granites for aggressive, or yeah, weenie decks. 2 Duress for control, 2 Appetite for Brains for mid-range, and a variety of different decks. So it's a pretty versatile deck to play. This is going to be a very quick deck tech. We're just going to see a replay of the only game I've played so far with this deck. Ooh, no, that is not it. Game replays. Let's see, is this it? What's this? Alright, here we go. So, you are watching us play here. Alright, we both mulligan here. I keep this hand. I forget that I have an Experiment 1 in my hand. I'm just excited to play. I should have played the Experiment 1, but whatever. Our opponent, he has a Heartless, so, ooh, and he's got Blood Grip. So, if we led with Experiment 1, we would have lost Experiment. There's no reason. We should have played Experiment 1, no matter what. Right? So he duresses us. We're going to lose the Putrefy. And I don't know he's on Heartless Summon yet. But, you know, it's nice to see another Heartless Summoning deck. Didn't copy my less. I mean, it looks very similar, right? But he has mainboard duresses. Whatever. That's always cool. So we go with that turn 1, Experiment, tapped land. We have a pretty slow hand, all things considered. It's not too bad. Because I have Experiment on the board and he's not going to answer it. He wants to get Heartless out as quick as possible. So correct play is Dragon Skull Summon into Heartless. That's the correct play. Well, Experiment 1 is not a threat. Like he's got Master of Cruelties here. Oh, that's dangerous. So our turn 3 play, we can keep Varolz safe because he needs to untap. So we're going to play Varolz and attack for the 2/2 evolved Experiment 1. And the reason why we did this instead of Smiter is because we want Varolz on board early, right away, so we can take advantage of all his abilities. So we go for 2. pass it to our opponent. Let's see what he does. Our opponent will go Desecration Demon because that is the way to go. He can go Duress into Desecration Demon, but Duress would miss. It would be a poor play. So he could go Pillar, targeting one of these creatures, into Desecration Demon, which would be a much better play. Right? As you can see right here, oh my god, my deck, I'm very happy about this guy playing a Heartless Summoning deck. Massive Cruelties, for those of you who play Heartless. Heartless gives them -1/-1, right? So it becomes a 0/3. But even if he attacks, and he's not blocked and he deals 0 damage, as long as he's not blocked, you still go down to 1. So that is a pretty freaking effective card. Unfortunately, it's not good when there's other creatures on board because that touch ability becomes totally negligible. First strike becomes totally negligible, and it just becomes a vanilla 0/3 wall. Right? So our opponent drops a Desecration Demon like we thought. Should be playing a Pillar. There he plays Pillar. I sack him to Varolz to keep the guy regenerating and to keep our Experiment 1 in the graveyard. And then here the play is probably Treacherous Pit Dweller into, or Lawleth Troll. Okay, yeah, we'll go Treacherous Pit Dweller. And we should scavenge Experiment 1 onto our Varolz. That's what we do. And we choose not to attack here because we don't know if he has cruelties in his hand. We just know that we represent 7 power on the board. So in the trade, he's already taken damage from, tapped lands or whatnot. So, and then the 2/2 Experiment 1. So in the trade, he can put it as 15, but we can put him down at 9. So yeah, where were we? I don't remember where we're at. Okay, so yeah, like I'm saying, we represent 7 damage. He represents 5, and he's already 4 life lower than us. So he'll put us at 15. Leave himself open, and we'll put him at fucking 9. So he plays Massive Cruelties. But remember, like I said, it's a 0/3 Death Touch first strike. That's useless. He's just a 0/3 wall at this point. Well, he's not useless, because even if I attack, he can just not block, and then he can put me on the Ridiculous Clock, right? Which is what he thinks he's going to do. But I have creatures in hand, so I can make sure that I always block Massive Cruelties. So we're good. We're going to take that damage. All right? It makes sense, right? You guys following along? Very simple combat math here, okay? So Overgrown Tomb, play it tapped. Now we could choose between the Troll and the Smiter. I'm going to swing. Of course he's going to take the damage. He doesn't want to lose the cruelties. He thinks he can, get a cheap win by swinging with the 0/3. But it's not going to happen. So I think we're going to go with the Troll. Do we go with the Troll? Oh, we'll go with the Smiter. Okay, we'll want the Smiter. What the hell is that card? A Mizzium Mortars right now would really fuck us up. That would put us close to dying. I don't know how it works, the attack phase, when you have Massive Cruelties and another creature. I mean, does he put me at 1 life and then the Desecration Demon kills me? I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure how you stack damage, or if it just happens at the whole time and I'm at 1. Oh no, but he has to attack alone, right? Yeah, he can only attack alone. Okay, so yeah, we're good. We got a blocker. Plays the rest, he misses. Let's see what he does now. He has to hold these back, because yeah, see, there's nothing he can do here. Now, he's at 9, so I can force him to use this. I can do multiple things. What I want to do is I want to play a Lawleth Troll, or I want to play a threat, and I want to tap down this Desecration Demon, and then I want to scavenge something. But I won't be able to do that. So what I'll do is I'll probably sack the Treacherous Pit Dweller twice. So Treacherous Pit Dweller will die, and like I said, before it goes to your opponent's side, you can sack it again to your sack outlet, which is what we'll do. So we'll give it regen twice, and we'll keep Treacherous Pit Dweller in the graveyard. Clear enough, right? Then we'll play Lawleth Troll, and we will sacrifice Lotleth Troll. That will tap the Desecration Demon. We'll give the +4/+4 to some of our creatures. And if we do that, our opponent must block something. So that way we guarantee, unless he has some kind of removal, which he doesn't, and even if he did, our creatures are too big, it will guarantee that he loses the 0/3 Master of Cruelties. See what I'm saying? So we're going to make Varolz a 7/7, and we have a 4/4 threat on board. If we tap Desecration Demon and all we have are 2 creatures, Varolz and the Loxodon Smiter, he has to block it. There's nothing else he can do. He can't just take 7. He has to block one of these guys. So either way, Master Cruelty is going to go down. So that is the play. I'm pretty sure that's what we do. So yeah, so there's Lotleth Troll. There we sack, and we're doing a little sack thing right there. And then we're going to scavenge it onto him. So now we have a 7/7. Our opponent's waiting for the ruling and how we're stacking the triggers. Obvious enough, right? So, okay, boom. There we swing. So we sack the troll to tap Desecration Demon, right? So now we represent 11 damage on board. He must block. That is where we are at. Our opponent blocks the 7/7, of course. Takes 4, goes to 3. He loses the Master of Cruelties. And now he is facing a dangerous, dangerous board stata. Now, if we had Voice of Resurgence, we still would have been able to do the same thing. Voice of Resurgence actually would put us in a better position. Because if we sacked Voice of Resurgence, well, maybe not. So he's going to mortar something. See, like, look at Treacherous Pit Dweller made our freaking Varolz a 7/7. You know what I mean? It gave us 4 counters. That's relevant. If we had Voice of Resurgence, this wouldn't be a 7/7. It would be a 5/5. And in this example, sure, like our opponent had to block, but there would be other examples where maybe he wouldn't have had to make that block. So, you know, I don't know. It's worth investigating. At this point, our opponent is just being outclassed by a bigger creature. He has to block, and it's not a favorable block, of course. And this game, of course, is going to end soon. Massive Cruelties can buy him sometime, but the 7/7 plus trample, 9/9, 3/6 damage tramples over. That is enough to get him to kill and get us to win with just 1 creature on board. So our deck reaches a point where it does slow down, as you can see. That was pretty good. What is this? Oh, it's another replay. So what do we side in versus a deck like that? Let's look at our deck real quick. What do these cards here do value or give us value in that matchup? Blood Baron gives us value. The creatures are black and red and white, and it, you know, he had mortars, but it doesn't matter because this can deal with most of his threats. So we bring in Blood Baron. We don't bring in Sin Collector. It's not really relevant. Don't bring in Cremate. We bring in Golgari Charm, destroys enchantments, destroy Heartless. We could win the game with that, you know. Appetite for Brains, we bring that in definitely. Get rid of, you know, if he's playing Heartless, chances are all his drops are over 4. Or, you know, the ones we're worried about. And they are. Desecration Demon, Master of Cruelties. You know, I don't know what else he's got in there, but, you know, those are what we're worried about. So those are the cards we bring in. What do we take out? We take out Rot Farm Skeleton. It's too slow. Doesn't impact the board in the way we want. Probably take out Obsidots because we're replacing it with Blood Baron. Advent of the Worm to me is weak in that matchup. They have a 5/5 flyer that can grow. We get a 5/5 ground guy. If we're behind, we're losing. I would rather have faster stuff here. And that would be all I change. I actually really just don't like Advent of the Worm in this deck. I mean, I think it's a great card, but I don't think this is where we want to be because it's not something that we want to sack, and it doesn't benefit from sack outlets. It's just a vanilla 5/5 guy. But, you know, I don't know. So here we go. What do we got going on here? Alright, so back to the game. Game 2. He kept that hand. We kept this hand because it's fast. We don't get that turn 1 experiment 1, but we get access to Golgari Charm, which will fuck up a Heartless. And that's what we want to do. We want to set him back if he plays Heartless. And we get access to experiment 1, Treacherous Pit Dweller, a lot left. It's a decent curve. He has a keepable hand. It's not the greatest, but it's keepable. You know, Heartless. You get Heartless in the opening hand, that's a good thing. Unfortunately for our opponent, he doesn't know that we got Golgari Charm, and he loses Heartless early. Clearly, Golgari Charm doing some work. Didn't expect to have to bring it in against a Heartless Summoning deck, but, you know, that's what happened. We did. So now he's playing draw, go. Just, you know, going to answer our threats with removal. We do not have the greatest of hands, so we can play it. No, we're playing experiment 1. We can play Lot Left Troll, but he has a relevant regenerate ability, so there's no reason for us to give up his value immediately. Experiment 1, on the other hand, you kind of need to build towards him, so we can afford to lose a 1/1. Okay, we can't afford to tap our only colored mana and lose Lot Left Troll. So here at this step, we are going to play that land untapped, this Overgrown Tomb, play Lot Left Troll, get our guy to a 2/2, and then attack, so that we are at even life, 18/18. And that's value, and that's board presence. That works out pretty decent for us. Okay, we move on. Our opponent is at 4 lands. Now he's going to be at 5 lands. The smart thing for him would be to just sit on Mtg Mortars, because now he's got 6 lands in hand. He'll probably play Blood Crypt, yeah, which is what he does, obviously. He's going to sit on Mtg Mortars, pass the turn probably. Should probably Dreadbore. Like, he probably should have Dreadboarded experiment 1. I don't know. That's arguable. There's a couple of lines of play. For us, we're just going to go to Loxodon Smiter, because that helps evolve our experiment 1, so we can reflect 5 damage on the board. Now, you see we have Treacherous Pit Dweller in our hand, and it's kind of just sitting there, and it's because we don't have access to Varolz or Cartel Aristocrat right now, so he's kind of a worrisome threat. We don't exactly want to play him. So our opponent right now probably should have Mortars. Mortars was the play right here. I don't think Slaughter Games was the right play. I mean, it was the right play for the deck, but it wasn't the right play for this board state at this time. Because he has access to Dreadbore. So I have 4 lands. You know, unless I draw a 5th land and play 2 creatures, chances are, even if I had Varolz in my hand, I wouldn't be able to regenerate and keep him alive. You know, and if I did, I'd have to give up value of Lot Left Troll or something. He should have played Mortars that turn. Kind of wiped the board, forced me to keep the Lot Left alive. I mean, he can't wait for me to tap out on while I have a troll on the board. I'm never going to do it. That would be crazy. You know what I mean? So I think he misplayed here. Should have Mtg Mortars. But whatever. He removes that stuff. Dreadbore. He hits. Ooh, that was. Yikes! What happened? All right, let's try that again, huh? So that was weird. Oh, super weird. Let's go back to that game. What the hell is that? Yeah, so, you know, she used the Mtg Mortars at the wrong time. But whatever, that happened. Let's go back to that point in the game where that happened. That is a pivotal misplay on his part. That is the part where the game changed for him. Alright, so here we go. He Dreadbores now. Let's see what we flip. We flip a Charm. Now I feel like he's wasted a lot of removal. So I feel comfortable playing Treacherous Pit Dweller at this point. Okay, because if he has another Mortars, then whatever, so be it. But I can deal with my Pit Dweller if it dies at this point and feel comfortable with the exchange. See, because now his only out is to kill the Pit Dweller. You know, that is his only out. Whereas I have 18 life. I have 18 life cushion. I can worry about it. And I can kill this with the Abrupt Decay. You know, I can use a Celestial Charm. I can rid myself of this threat. Alright, so let's see. Now he's just looking at like what he has. He's got to play Mortars again. I mean, what other choice? He's got to play Mortars. Then he's got to deal with this Lava Troll. Then he's got to use the Pit Dweller. Or, you know what I mean? Then he's got to use his Rakdos Return. So there's the Mortars, because he needs to. He has no other chance. And the reason why he has no other chance is because I played Pit Dweller. If I didn't play Pit Dweller, he could maybe have held off one turn. Maybe. But nope. Pit Dweller. See, that's the thing about a card like Pit Dweller. Like, you know, Pit Dweller doesn't seem very threatening. But damn, the value that you can add, like at this point in the game, is just incredible. So we rid ourselves of this threat, and we can just slow play him because you know, he's tapped out. He can't do anything to us. We'll put him at 3, and we'll just get there. So he's got a Rakdos Return. He plays it, and of course, the smart thing at this point would be to get rid of the Experiment one, which he does. Oh my goodness. Anyway. So this game is over. As you can see, he's at 2 life or at 3 life, and he's going to be at 1 life next turn, and he's going to lose quickly after. So, Bandcamp. Now you get to see what programs I use to record shit. So yeah, I mean, this deck is pretty fun. I mean, it's worth testing. Should we use Voice of Resurgence, or should we keep with the 4/3 demon? You know, I don't know. It's worth testing. You let me know what you think.